This is the SERCO group. They run all 7 immigration detention centres in Australia, but they do lots more. In fact, they're probably the biggest company you've never heard of. Governments all around the world outsource to SERCO. They run half of London's traffic lights, all of Dublin's, and in Ontario, Canada, they test you for your driver's licence. SERCO are also the largest air traffic controllers in the world. They've got 54 towers in the US, and they control Baghdad's air traffic. They even maintain the RAF squadron the Queen flies on. All over the planet, SERCO are moving people, from metros in Dubai to buses in Adelaide. And they're good at stopping people from moving too. SERCO will soon be the largest operator of private prisons in the UK, and they're very efficient at it. In one prison, they increase capacity by 20% simply by putting beds in the toilets. In another SERCO prison, a 14-year-old hanged himself after being assaulted by SERCO guards, the UK's youngest ever death in custody. But don't think SERCO aren't good with kids. In Bradford, they run all the state schools in the district. SERCO is the model of a modern multinational, and that's why they're the right company to keep us safe. They've been running the UK's ballistic missile defence system ever since it was outsourced 40 years ago. In fact, they look after Britain's entire nuclear arsenal, from creation to decommissioning. But wait, there's more. SERCO are so good at running things, they even run time itself. That's right, SERCO have the contract for setting Greenwich Mean Time. And SERCO just keep getting bigger. Since 1994, they've grown by 1,200%. How have they been so successful? CEO Chris Hyman puts his success with SERCO down to listening to God. Now, you might think things like nuclear arsenals and border protection are best handled by the government, but that's not a problem for SERCO because about 85% of their workforce are ex-public servants, so they have all the training and connections necessary to handle big government contracts. In Australia, SERCO have a presence on every military base, run every immigration detention centre, 2 prisons, cross-country trains like the Indian Pacific and the GAN, and they're bidding on more contracts right now, including one to run prisons across New South Wales. So, even if you don't know their name, chances are you're caught in their web. SERCO, bringing service to life.
KJV and SERCO should be barred from bidding for government work until a fraud investigation into their failed criminal tagging contracts is complete, a penal reform charity said Monday. The 2 firms were found in July to have charged for monitoring criminals who were dead in prison or who hadn't been tagged at all. The Howard League for Penal Reform, a British charity, criticized that move and said Tuesday it would hand a dossier outlining failures in recent years by both firms in delivering justice contracts to police in order to assist the SFO inquiry.
Have you guys ever heard of a company called SERCO? Well, it might be the biggest company that you have never heard of. Everyone knows about the private prison industry, the transportation industry, and government agencies. But what if I told you that there was just one company that oversaw almost every facet of all of these sectors? Yep, that's SERCO, the mother of all multinational corporations. SERCO is a $1.5 billion services company based in Hook, North Hampshire in the United Kingdom, whose motto is bringing services to life. So, what the hell does that actually mean? Well, according to their website, SERCO improves the quality and efficiency of essential services that matter to millions of people around the world. The work we do for national and local governments involves us with the most important areas of public service, including health, education, transport, science, and defense. Now, I know it still sounds very vague about what they actually do, but more importantly is how many industries SERCO actually oversees across the entire planet. Since governments from around the world outsource to SERCO, the massive corporation has its tentacles in 16 countries worldwide. They cash in on detention. SERCO runs 7 immigration centers and has a presence on every military base in Australia. They're also the largest operator of private prisons in the UK. SERCO also directs airplanes. They are the largest air traffic controllers in the world with 54 towers in the US alone. The company also supplies air traffic control in Iraq and the United Arab Emirates. SERCO also moves people on the ground, from Scotland ferries to Dubai metros. But the company not only manages public transport everywhere, but also operates speed track cameras and creates the software for monitoring traffic across London. But don't worry, SERCO's looking out for the kids, guys. They currently have contracts to run every state school in Bradford, England. But they haven't forgotten about Grandma and Grandpa. They're privatizing community centers too. If you haven't figured it out yet, SERCO is essentially the Swiss Army knife of corporations. SERCO plays doctor, too. Private hospitals are a big industry under the umbrella company. And SERCO has started to acquire hospitals in Australia and England. SERCO is so unbelievably powerful that they even control time. Yep, SERCO has friends in such high places, they have been contracted to set Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Do you think that things like running border patrol and protecting nuclear arsenals should be run by a government body or a private multinational? Well, I'm sure you can guess what I'm getting at next. SERCO does both. Not only do they look over the country's entire nuclear arsenal, they also run the UK's ballistic missile defense system. In fact, their primary purpose of being stationed here in the United States is to supply defense and intelligence services across the nation. Check out their promo video for the U.S. government.
For the Department of Homeland Security, we manage over 62 million active records, helping to keep our nation secure.
Think of it as an integrated system that helps the right person make the right decision at the right time. For the intelligence community, we provide planning, training, program support, and project execution. And the rest, it's classified.
The rest is classified? Guys, we already think you're shady. Is it really necessary to tell us that you have even more secrets? But thanks for the disclaimer. So what branches of the government does SERCO specifically provide services to? Well, the U.S. Army, U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, the Ministry of Ontario, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Marine Corps, Federal Retirement Thrift Investment Board, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, U.S. Department of State, the intelligence community. Whew, let me catch my breath. I just wanted to establish the extent of their reach. But wait, there's more. SERCO is so passionately committed to the U.S. that they're also working with the government to fight cyber terrorism, and they remain passionately committed to the American government's mission. Check it out.
I like to say, we don't have to look hard to find the best and brightest. They find us.
We are passionate about the future of our nation, and we embrace our government's mission as our mission.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
Your mission, our passion.
We are the company that runs the world. But don't worry, they're passionate about swallowing up the world industry by industry, government by government. Since 1994, they've grown by over 1,200%, and they continue to acquire more contracts and services every day. So how does it happen that a multinational corporation can run things such as the time and the safeguarding of nuclear weapons? Well, about 85% of SERCO's employees are also ex-public servants, so they have the know-how and networking to keep that revolving door going. So why don't we know more about SERCO? Well, that's just the problem, is that this corporation has way too much power and way too much control. There's no doubt that we live in a corporatocracy. The corporate coup d'etat has already taken over. The question is, how are we going to fight it?